We should be live any second now. Oh,
What's up?
here we go. I'm actually hearing the pass right now. So there's like a
Oh, there's a
15
weird
second
delay.
buffer. Yeah,
Are you hearing it from the stream? Are we
yeah.
live on the
On
stream?
the
Okay.
website, we are live now. Let's see. We'll wait. We'll give people some time to get in here. We should be good in just a minute. I need to see if I can mute this stream though, because I can hear myself.
Just cut the volume on it.
I'm relearning how to use a MacBook. Oh, there.
Oh.
Okay, I muted it. All right. So we got people. We got people in here. Alan Austin says, "Yo." Number one fan says, "Ah." Number one fan also says, "Hi, Edmund."
Hello. Hello.
So for everyone that's just joining us, my name is Ronnie Crazy. We're joined by the epic Edmund McMillen, the creator of Binding Isaac and amazing other things too. Yeah, if you want to say hi, introduce yourself, Edmund. Maybe talk about what you got going on, what's coming up before we get into the Q&A.
Yeah, I'm Edmund McMillen. I made Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy and Legend of Bumbo and The End Is Nigh and a bunch of other games that were Flash games. I've been making games for almost 20 years. I think this year is 20 years. I think this is the year that I've been doing this since then. I think Gish, which was my first game that you could pay for, came out 20 years ago. And but you guys know me from the Binding of Isaac, and I'm currently working on Mugenics, which is my largest development cycle, and dare I say my best. But I don't know if everybody will believe so, but I believe so. Well, I'm usually correct on my work, but hey,
yeah.
I think any fan of the Binding of Isaac will absolutely love it for sure. It's got a vibe that is very akin to diving into the original Binding of Isaac. So it's this kind of like fresh, new, but very similar in how it unfolds. Item combinations, infinite replayability, but with a cool legacy aspect. So everybody has their own specific world that they're kind of living in. So it makes it unique to the person. Excellent. But that'll be out next year.
I was sad when we didn't get more Bumbo. But
I was sad when we didn't get more Bumbo as well. I mean, we can talk about that if people want to know about it, because the Bumbo situation is a bittersweet one, where I really loved making Bumbo until the last year of development, and we kind of fell into this really hellish crunch, which completely broke James, who is the programmer, and we basically had set a hard date and couldn't really meet that date, pushed back, set another hard date, couldn't meet that date either. And when we finally did launch, it was a really bad launch. And for me, it kind of, like, I had a whole DLC planned for it. I had a bunch of really cool stuff that I wanted to do. And the launch was so rough, it kind of killed my personal hype on it. That said, after it did come out, I had a bunch of guys at Nicholas come through, and they fixed the game up, and then we eventually published through them. And I'm happy with where the game is now. But there's still maybe I need more time to pass or something for me to feel good about going back in there and kind of taking that in. But yeah, the DLC was called The Legend of the Blue King, and maybe one day it will see the light of day. It was a cool idea, and I had a lot of cool things about it, but I don't know. Mugenics also kind of took the turn-based strategic elements and like, I'd rather work on this, so I'm going to work on this.
Fair enough. And you answered my question there to see like if you thought maybe you'd like to go back at some point. So we'll let it marinate and let you think on it, and hopefully
I won't take it off the table. I know. Like the guys at Nicholas are like, hey, you want to just show us your design doc? We'll just get the ball rolling. But I'm the kind of person that wants to have my hands in it. Like, absolutely. I need to be there with other people. And I'm all my time is spent on Mugenics. So
Fair enough.
For now,
Man,
that's
I
what
think
I'm
all
doing.
of us are excited for it too. Like we got a lot of people in the chat saying, "Can't wait for Mew! Yeah, give us Mew!" It's so hyped. We got a lot of people. Let me catch up on some stuff here. Someone said, "Bring back Flash." A bunch of people.
I'm still using Flash. I did bring back Flash. The Mugenics is actually all animated and drawn in Flash.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it's not programmed in Flash, but action script calls and stuff like that are all a thing. Like everything you see that has those flashy lines in Mugenics is 100% made in Flash. All the other art is imported into Flash. So it reads SWF files. It's very old school. It is Flash visually. It just doesn't, run like crap and
right. Yes.
all the downsides of working
after
in Flash.
Yeah. Someone said, Edmund, I named my child after you.
Really? There's another Edmund? That's cool. Is it? Hopefully it's spelled like my name because there's so few of us. So few.
What most of them have O's, right? Instead of
yeah.
U.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow my name is never heard correctly. Like if I go to Starbucks, they think my name is Evan, Edwin, Eden, and then if they do get Edmund, it's Edmin or Edmond. Never correct. And I've never met another actual Edmund spelled like my name in real life.
That's got to be tough being the first name. My last name is Kreutzer, and it's spelled Kreutzer. Never been correct, but it's not my first name, so
yeah.
I imagine that probably was frustrating for a while.
It's just an uncommon name, I guess, because it's not like it's a hard name. It's not a hard name. It's just nobody's fucking called Edmund. Unless there's like I'm sure if you live in Europe, you've probably met some 90-year-old racist white man who his name is Edmund, who screamed at you from across the street. Made sure, that's Edmund. Don't go over there.
Somebody said, been following Mugenics since the beginning. So excited for each new update. Another person said, any future plans on Fingered?
Yeah, no, there's no future. Fun fact. So I tend to prototype ideas in smaller games, and Fingered spawned from this weird game prototype called Facist, which was a randomly generated face generator where you can put in your name, you could spell it Edmund, and a face would be generated based off of the characters in your name. I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to use that again, so I used it in Fingered, and I used it as a core mechanic of the game, so the different characters were generated based off of different attributes that I say, this person is defined as fat because they have these fat features. This person is described as skinny because they have skinny features, and they put them all together. That was interesting. And then I'm also using the same idea and the same generative visuals in Mugenics. That's how the cats are generated.
Shoot, okay.
Yeah. So the cats have, their face, they've got their eyes, their eyebrows, they don't have noses. We don't do noses in this world that we live in here. Who cares? Who wants noses? You can't make a cute nose. It just doesn't look right. Take that nose and throw it away.
Randomizing and
so we've got mouth, eyes, eyebrows, ears, head. You've got head texture. You've got body, tail, front legs, back legs. Each of those elements of a cat are randomly generated in normal zone. So in the normal threshold, it looks like a regular old cat. And then its texture or its coat, its fur or whatever, that's all generated as well in its color. But when you get mutations, let's say your cat shoves its face in toxic waste, its eyes mutate into, I don't know, snakes that bite. Now the cat is fully animated just like it would be in any way. Like it's going to do its animations, but it's going to have these wiggly, little snake eyes that are animated. And maybe it's going to be poisoning things that it bites, or maybe it's poisoning the things that bite it. Who knows? But the core of it is still that Fingered or Facist generated visual that I really enjoyed making, and now I'm incorporating it into a larger project. So yes, Fingered lives on in the soul of Mugenics.
Okay. Anybody else like chat? Feel free to fire off some questions. Um, I'm going to ask one of the silly questions, which actually might not be so silly. Is Isaac coming to Fortnite?
Um, I mean, I would absolutely love Isaac to come to Fortnite. For those who don't know, there were some tweets, and there were some tweets back, and there were some other tweets, and those tweets got people very excited about the idea of
I
Isaac in
saw those.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
Enough news sites posted about those tweets that people from Fortnite contacted me and were like, "Hey, are you serious about doing this?" And I said, "Of course. You know, if it's something people want, then I'm all for it." And I did have a meeting with them, and we are talking about the idea of doing something. I don't
Okay.
know if and when it'll happen. It's just one of those things that I can say, yes, I have talked to people there, and they aren't against the idea of doing something like this. It's just about if we can do it logistically. They've got a bunch of stuff, NDA stuff. Um,
Of course.
Making sure it actually makes sense, it works, and then when does it fit into their timeline? So we'll see.
Okay.
It's not off, it's absolutely not off the table, that's for sure.
Okay.
But who knows if and when it'll happen though.
Dumb Babe asked Ed, what are the marketing plans from you? Can you talk about that? Do you want to
I
talk about
don't.
that?
I'm gonna try my best to relearn how to do marketing
Okay.
and what marketing is now, and I'm just gonna do my best. I mean, I'll do stuff like this. I will. My plan of attack with Mew in general is to, once we're in a good space and we have like a really clear timeline of when this thing's going to come out, 6 months before it comes out, I'm going to be trying to get as many people, as many like large press outlets to come and play the game or bring it to them, because this is a game that needs to be played to really understand why it's really cool. It's a very unique experience, and it's like a lot of stuff, but unlike anything. It's
Right.
such
Like
an amalgamation
specifically.
of genres that it's kind of hard to explain unless you just throw the person in and let them kind of figure it out. So
Okay.
that's definitely something we're going to do. We're going to probably start doing live streams. There was a blog on IGN. It was for Animal Crossing ages ago, like talking like when Animal Crossing came out on what it was on GameCube. Um,
Okay. Like one of the originals then.
yeah, yeah. And this was before anybody knew what Animal Crossing was. And that blog was the most exciting thing in the world, because all they would do is be like, "This is what I did today. I went to the store, I got this thing, and I put it in my house. And I went in, and I got I went fishing, and I caught this fish I'd never caught before." And it seemed like, wow, it's like magic.
Yeah.
And I want to do the same thing, but I mean, I want to actually just sit down and show you a game, without spoiling too much. You can replay the first chapter of the game and just keep playing it forever, and it would just fill you up, and it's great. It's
Okay.
so ever changing. It's so different. So I think I'm going to do something like that, something akin to that blog post, and kind of just show people how this game plays and why it's really cool. And hopefully that spawns more. Outside of that, I'll probably do a bunch of weird trailers like I usually do, and
Okay.
maybe re-release the original trailer. And then, yeah, I mean, you could go to the mugenics.com. We've been posting development updates to a select few. I mean, people who follow me on Twitter know. And that we spoil a bunch of information, but we'll be spoiling. I think by the end of summer, we'll be spoiling a lot more and start really
Okay.
showing like more video footage of the game being played.
You hear that, chat? Mugenics.com. Go get the updates. The sweet sweets.
My dream, and I've shared this. My dream is to, at launch, I want to do a G Fuel cat spray lemon flavor G Fuel. That's what I want.
Think of me. Think of me.
I
I'll
want
do it
some-
all. I'll do whatever you want. I'll
That's what
dress
I
up.
want.
I'll do it all. That's
The
great.
the perfect lunch.
Yeah, that's great. The Evil Goat Man said, "What's your favorite class type you have created from eugenics so far at this time? Is it even anything you can talk about? Just because there's so much."
I will stick to what's been spoiled,
Okay.
and say that of the ones you know of, they're all so good. It's like choosing like a color in Magic for me. It's like
Yeah.
I can't hmm. I mean, I would say right now I'm having a lot of fun with the tank. There's this really cool passive which allows you to throw your allies. It's really fun.
Okay.
There's a lot of throwing. There's a lot of like he has a sub archetype of wrestling moves and stuff like that. So he has like this. It's not an ideal one. We've actually buffed it considerably, but he has the ability to suplex things. So like
Gosh.
he can suplex enemies. But the cool thing is if you are really good with positioning, which is important in this game, you can position a rock with spikes all over it behind you when you suplex something onto it. So it's like you could actually explode explode other cats onto a cactus or whatever else.
Okay.
That one's a really fun one, and with that passive, it's called WrestleManiac. He also gains the ability to throw as a secondary, and if you upgrade, so every ability in the game is upgradable. So there's like hundreds and hundreds of abilities in the game, and each of those has a fully unique upgradable aspect to it. And if you upgrade, spoiler, if you upgrade throw, you can actually throw things onto other things. So you could literally suplex a cat onto a cactus. Okay, so when you suplex it onto a cactus and it doesn't die, the spikes from the cactus stick into it, and it gives it thorns. And thorns is a whole other thing in the game. So you've given it thorns. Then you can pick it up and then throw it at one of its other enemies in the game. And then because it has thorns, it deals that much extra damage on contact.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's gonna be so cool.
So yeah, and that's it's just one tiny little passive ability of the game. So yeah, I like the tank. The tank's really fun, but it's just on my mind right now because we're currently designing the last last set of abilities to like flesh it out into, I forget what the number is, but it's a lot. Every class has a great deal of actives and passives.
Oh, that's exciting, and that's going to add to that infinite replayability, which is great.
Yeah, like for those who don't know, in this game when you clear combat or find other ways to level up, when a cat levels up, you draft its next ability that it gains. So it's kind of like Slay the Spire, where you're doing these little mini deck building. It's character building. So you choose what abilities would complement not only that cat's abilities into different archetypes, but also the other cat's abilities that you have. So you can kind of combo them together.
Okay. All right, I like that. I'm excited. I'm excited to see more about it. Somebody asked, it was Jukes, said, "Are you done with Isaac after the multiplayer update, or are you going to cook some more?"
I mean, I don't think I'll ever be done with Isaac. I think that's kind of a reality. It's always there as an option. I'm never going to take it off the table completely, but I will say that I'm done doing paid DLC. I don't think there'll ever be an update large enough to warrant you guys having to pay for it again.
I mean,
so I think we're kind of
huge.
Yeah, we're kind of past that at that point. If anything is added to the game, I could see it being, and this is not a promise. I could see it being an annual thing. Like, I love the idea of like talking to, the fans and being like, what are the shittiest items in the game, and then kind of looking at them and improving them in some way, or adding a new challenge, or I don't know, so little itsy bitsy things that don't disrupt your save files and
I mean, the
don't
challenges
introduce
are a great way to do that, for sure.
Sure. Or even like the G Fuel, like the G Fuel daily run, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that's always really fun to add.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm not going to take it off the table completely, but I don't see myself jumping into any kind of large Isaac project. I don't see myself after Mugenics jumping into any kind of large project again for at least 5 years. I need a break from. I went from like a 4-year dev cycle in the midst of the 10-year Isaac's dev cycle. So the ongoing Isaac dev cycle. In between all of that, I also did the Basement Collection, fingered The End Is Nigh, The Legend of Bumbo, which was a 4-year project, and then right into Mugenics, which will end up being like a 5.5-year project. So I'm kind of done doing large projects.
Okay.
I could see myself doing DLC for Mugenics. That would be a comfortable thing to work on. But outside of that, I'm going to kind of just take a break from large things and do small things again.
Well,
it's hard to grow.
Sure.
It's hard to grow as an artist or as anything when you're just locked into these projects that are so long. Like, yes, Mugenics is great and it's probably my best work. But the thing is I've learned what I can from it, and it's still another year plus away from coming out.
Right. So yeah, it's like your growth has kind of plateaued at that point for what you're doing, even though it's I mean, well deserved. Like the huge project that's going to have a lot of potential
for sure.
You know, for content moving forward, I'm sure you guys, you know, it's going to be a success. Let's be honest.
I've painted myself into a corner where people's expectations are the equivalent of a 10-year project made by a large team. And
the good thing is you've got that following, though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But the thing is they're always going to be a little disappointed that, like, even with Bumbo, it's still like, well, it was cool, but it only got me like 20, 25, 30 hours, and not Isaac, which has me 1,000. It's like, I can't. Like, I can't.
Those expectations.
Like, I can't do it unless I spend 5.5 years on something. Then I've got something. Like, Mugenics is roughly the size of Rebirth and Afterbirth together.
Okay.
So it's that big. It's not Repentance big, but it's big. That's a really large. And I'm sure we can get it past Repentance as far as size goes in the future with the DLC. But, you know, people are still kind of like, they always say, how come Isaac has like this staying power and all these other games don't, that are, you know, basically referencing Isaac? Why isn't that there? And it's like, well, because people aren't working on the same game for 10 years and constantly expanding it and making it more and more infinite. So it's hard to, the expectations are definitely there, and it's not just the pressure of the audience, but it's my own. It's like, I can't come off of a project like Isaac onto another project that is very reminiscent of Isaac and not want to do a shitload of content. Like, I want as much as possible. Like, I want there to be more items, and there will be more items in Mugenics than there are currently in the Binding of Isaac. Like, and these are items. These aren't class abilities. There's also a billion of those.
Just thinking of that on a game on launch, that's unfathomable to me, because there's already so much in Isaac.
Yeah. Oh, and the people who are fans of Isaac will enjoy the references of a lot of items and enemies and whatever else. They'll be like, I got you. I understand.
Yeah.
I know what that's from.
Through some, I'm sorry. I'm going to try and get through a couple more questions, just because people are rifling stuff off, and I want to try and pay attention to some people. Toys said, "What's your favorite item in Isaac?"
I don't know. Bob's brain.
It's tough. They're asking the hard ones.
Bob's brain. I'll go with Bob's brain. Bob's brain.
Bob's brain's great.
Bob's brain. People think it's a joke when I say that. People think, oh, he's trolling, because I'm always like, pick up Bob's brain. But Bob's brain is an interesting and fun item because of the fact that it's also disliked, because it has a negative that comes with the positive. It's very strong, and there's probably people who don't even realize that it's much stronger now than it used to be, because the last update buffed bombs and explosions. They do a shitload more damage, and people don't even know that. So Bob's brain does a lot of damage, and you can do it repeatedly. Like, it doesn't take that long for it to respawn, but the risk involved is paying attention to not hold down the tier fire button when you're walking into a room. You know,
which I'm very guilty of.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all you need to kind of play around, and it's buffed by, you know, best friends. It's buffed by. I don't think it combos with explosions, does it? No, it doesn't. It should, if it doesn't, but it might now. It's a fun item that has a negative to it that forces you to play a different way for an extra kind of reward. People think it's annoying, and I think it's that kind of threshold of, like, when the game launched, people thought that the dead cat sucked.
Oh man.
You know, people know now that it doesn't. But new players will go in and be like, this sucks. But it's one of those items that gets better the further you get and the more knowledge you gain.
Yep.
And I think those designs are really interesting. And I mean, that's one of the focal points of the designs for a lot of stuff in eugenics too. It's kind of like, okay, there's a lot of negative, but there's always a silver lining. And it's all
Yeah,
about working with what you got. I know a lot of people like to hold down that R button, but I'm not. I'm not a huge fan of it. I like to play it out. I enjoy that aspect of it, and I think, the pro and con with Mew is kind of going in is you're not going to have that restart button. And you're going to have to simply adapt because you don't want to lose this investment that if you've invested a bunch of time and effort into these cats, which you will, from breeding them and whatever else, and you've got this really cool cat that has snake eyes, like we've talked about, and you bred that cat, and now you got three cats that also have snake eyes, and the mom cat died off. She got killed by some stray cat that you brought in, and they got in a fight, and that was it. Now you've got these 3 cats with snake eyes. You need them to survive. And in order to do that, you need to get food, which means you need to go on an adventure. Now, do you bring the chainsaw that you found in a tomb? Because that's maybe the only time you're ever going to see that chainsaw. But the chainsaw rips pieces of flesh off of things, and you can eat the flesh. At what point do you do it? You've only got so much storage. You need to equip these cats. These cats need to survive. And there is no R button. You've got there's a consequence for this. Sure, those cats die, whatever. The whole house is cleared. You start a new day. There's 4 new stray cats, whatever. But just having that little aspect of the game is really interesting to me, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And I think that with time and understanding that people will also enjoy it.
Yeah, it's good. There's gonna be a learning curve, and people are gonna hate it at first, probably, and then it's gonna grow on them. That's how I felt with Isaac too. Like a lot of the times I'd get really frustrated, but then once I learned synergies and do's and don'ts, and it became a lot more enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of learning.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing is, this is the thing I'm really excited about, because I don't know if many people. I don't know how many people here were here from the beginning, because a lot of people weren't, right? But the people from the beginning got to experience Isaac blind, going in and not knowing what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Documenting what each item did, finding that there were actually hidden like combos and whatever else, all this other weird stuff that's going on. That people get to experience that again with Mugenics, like going into this again and being like this whole untouched world that hasn't been min-maxed, that hasn't been broken down into item tiers. Eventually that'll, of course, within the first month that'll happen, but but we all kind of get to go in all together again and re-experience the magic that was there originally, which I think will be really cool.
Yeah. Let's see. I saw a question here. Cosmo had asked, I don't even know if they're still here. They said they didn't have much time. It said, what motivated you to make the game and base it off of religion? I'm assuming Isaac.
Yeah. No, yeah, Mugenics isn't based around religion.
Okay.
That, to my knowledge, maybe, I don't know, could take a wild turn. I made the Binding of Isaac based off religion because I had a very weird and difficult religious upbringing, where half of my family, so the McMillen side of my dad's side of the family, were all born again Christian, pretty hardcore. And this is the 80s, so like D&D, Magic the Gathering, eventually Magic the Gathering. That was all evil, very evil.
Right.
And anybody who liked that stuff is dark-sided. And on the other side, I had a very Catholic family. My grandmother was extremely devout Catholic, Mexican Catholic. So it was my house was full of religious imagery. There was saints everywhere. There was lots of praying, but like the prayers felt like spells. There was a lot of, we would go to church and light candles for my grandfather who died, who was in purgatory. There's a lot of that. So there's literal dogma coming at me from all directions. And I'm this weird kid who doesn't fit in, who likes weird stuff, who feels extremely out of place, even within my own home, in my own family. I felt weird. And when I was working on the project, which is what all I cared about is I wanted to make a roguelike. I wanted to make an action roguelike like Spelunky, and this was a way for me to prototype something for that. And I started out just with the dungeon structure of The Legend of Zelda. That's where it all kind of came from. And since I was already riffing off of that dungeon structure, I wanted to kind of like pull from like the same general idea, like Miyamoto pulled from his childhood and exploring as a kid by himself out in the woods, turning over stones and finding random animals like spiders and whatever else, or whole other, imagining whole other worlds beneath these rocks and all that sort of stuff. I thought, okay, well, I'll reference this. I'm already referencing this, so I'm going to reference him, and I'm going to put myself back where I was when I was young, and that's what came out. Just a lot of dogma, a lot of difficulties dealing with feeling like an outcast and feeling like more of an outcast because of religion, but also feeling a comfort in it. And being inspired by the imagery and the stories. And it just became an homage to my childhood and how religion, affected me. And over time it changed, because initially it was more about how religion can really negatively affect somebody who's already an outcast who doesn't fit in, especially if, who they are goes against a lot of stuff that's said in the Bible, or what other people who use organized religion can go out of their way to alienate and hurt people using the Bible. Writing about that, and then it became more about, how religion also inspired me as an artist, not just throwing the whole thing out. And then it slowly, by repentance, became more about what it's like growing up in a broken home, or growing up poor, which religion also just comes into that as well. So that's where it all came from. And The Binding of Isaac is a story in the Bible called The Binding of Isaac, which is exactly the same general idea where, this guy here, Abraham, hears the voice of God, tell him to sacrifice his son to test his faith. He goes to do it, and God sends an angel down to stop his hand before he does it, which is a really, really messed up story and absolutely not something a God would do. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And that's part of it too, just kind of questioning a lot of stuff too. And then I thought it would be interesting to kind of put this in today's world and be like, well, if you believe that happened in the Bible then, why couldn't it also happen now? You're not believing these, and this happens. People kill their kids, especially mothers, and say, oh, God told me to do it. That still happens now. And nobody thinks that person is hearing God. We're all on the same page that these people are insane. So yeah, it's a lot of like, oh, I did it because it was interesting in all these different reasons why.
Yeah.
And that's where The Binding of Isaac came from. It's also a play off of The Legend of Zelda, The Binding of Isaac. It just fit. It just works.
Okay.
I'm always for that serendipitous, when things just fit perfectly, I go for it.
Okay. Well, now that is even more of a hit the feels for me, because I didn't know any of that. That's good.
There you
That's
go.
good stuff. We got a question saying, are we going to get Mugenics cards in 4 Souls?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it's gonna be a while before that happens, of course, but yeah, I could see that happening for sure.
Okay. Let's see. Tom Faulty asks, love you, Tom, by the way. Nice Brightmare shirt, Ed. Any chance you'd ever do an apparel collection in collaboration with Pardee? Would love to see his interpretations. Oh, Tom.
I've worked with Alex Pardee I've known him for forever. Like, he did me one of the biggest favors in the world. I mean, it wasn't a favor, but I met him, 10 years ago, and he was like, hey, I'm curating this thing for Juxtapose magazine, which was a magazine I loved and tried so hard to convince people in that magazine in like the mid to late 2000s that video games were an art form and they should really, start featuring indie artists and that are into video games and making video games. And it fell on deaf ears. But Alex was like, I'm curating this issue and these are the people that I want to showcase. And I was one of them. It was like me, Jonan Vasquez, Sam Keith. These are all people I absolutely love. And it was just such an honor. Like it would really like kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. Cause it was this bucket list thing that I thought was so out of my reach.
Like out of reach. Yeah.
Yeah. And he just was really cool and did that. And not only got me in touch with one of my heroes, Sam Keith, who eventually did, I'm looking at it here, but did the cover for The Binding of Isaac. And he's the illustrator and writer for the Max. And one of my favorite comics of all time. Got me in touch with him. I got to meet him and really cool guy. But yeah, I've worked on and off with Alex. Whenever I do anything that involves an artist, he's the first person I say, hey, do you want to work on this? Usually he's busy, but I did a Binding of Isaac t-shirt line. And he did Delirium. He did the Delirium t-shirt. It's fucking fantastic, but you can't get it anymore. It's gone.
I love Alex's work.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah. And this shirt feels like this is me. Like, I don't know. Like I have three of these shirts and I just wear them all the time. This is my favorite of all of his shirts, but I subscribed his t-shirt line till the end, which just happened. And, and he inspired me to do a Binding of Isaac t-shirt line. So we did a very similar t-shirt line. I used or initially I used his same printer and everything. And we did a 12-month subscription service for the Binding of Isaac. And it wasn't just t-shirts. It was lots of goodies like stickers and whatever else. We even did a little drink koozie that said Jesus juice. So you could put your drink in. It was cool. It was a really cool little intimate affair. And it came with a bunch of Four Souls cards and it was neat. And Alex got to do.
Touch. I should have known about this.
If you follow me on Twitter, you find out about all this nonsense that I do.
I follow you on Twitter. I just don't Twitter much.
Yeah.
That's a me issue, I guess.
I'll do another one. People liked it and it's a similar thing. They're like, I didn't know this happened. How can I get this? And you can't. You might be able to get a Delirium sweatshirt still at maestromedia.com. If you just look up maestromedia.com and go to the Binding of Isaac page. I think the top 4 shirts got reprinted on hoodies. Okay. But I don't know if they're sold out.
I will have to check that. maestromedia.com.
Yeah, that's something. But eventually I think I'll do another t-shirt line. It was a fun little project to do. But I'll probably do something more so it's not just all Isaac, because a lot of people were like, you should do a Time Fuck shirt, or what about this? Super Meat Boy's off the table at this point because I'm not allowed to touch that stuff. But I've got other games. People, I can do some other t-shirts, Magenic shirt or something.
Well, Tom, you heard that. Maybe another collection coming out. Let's keep our eyes peeled.
I promise I will contact Alex and say, hey, do you want to do a shirt?
Yeah, definitely. And I will 100% be getting whatever becomes available. Do you have a favorite mod that has come out for Repentance?
I feel bad, but the only mods I ever see are the ones that people tweet at me. So I haven't installed a mod in quite a long time, probably since the beginning of, or at least the first year of Megenics development. I've just not been in that world at all. So
I don't normally mod much.
I can't say. But I mean, I always get stuff tossed at me and it really seems quite impressive for sure. And the game, of course, lives on in the hands of modders.
Absolutely.
So I want to encourage that as much as possible, but I'm not going to lie and say, Revelations mod is my whatever favorite mod because I don't know. The mods I always like are the stupidest, dumbest crap.
Oh yeah,
like,
of course.
There was a mod that whenever Isaac shot Tears, the Home Improvement sound would happen.
I've seen clips.
I just like dumb crap. If it's good, I'm like,
yeah. It's
I've seen good stuff. Give me the garbage.
Yeah.
There was an MS Paint reskin, I think, in the very beginning, which I really liked. The whole game reskin. It's an undertaking at this point, but an MS Paint reskin was pretty impressive.
I've only downloaded 3 mods myself. One was Isaac Pogs when he enters an item room.
Yep.
The Anti-Birth soundtrack, so I could listen to that, and then the item descriptions when you enter and you look at items. That's all I've ever done.
And item descriptions is the number one. My number one thing on the list of things I want to actually have added to the game.
Okay.
We can't just add the mod though, but that is, I think, once co-op is finished, that is the next thing on the list as far as a major kind of undertaking that is at this point needed. I think the idea that people have to play with a browser open, this just rubs me the wrong way. It just feels like I failed. I failed in some horrible, terrible way.
I mean, yeah, I'll admit I have Platinum God open every time I play.
Yeah. We gotta fix
hard.
That. Yeah, for sure. Just so you know, every game, every aspect of Mugenics, we just mouse over something and it tells you what it is. So there's still going to be a little bit of mystery here and there. We're not going to spell every little thing out for you. So there's a lot of stuff like in Isaac that you'll be like, oh shit, like when I do that, I think I'm spawning a flea out of my ass if I do it this way, whatever. But for the most part, every item in the game, because it's a strategy game, it's going to, you mouse over an enemy, it's going to show you the damage you're going to take from it. It's going to show you its movement range. It's going to tell you roughly what it does, how many turns it takes, all that stuff. All the information is there. Same with items. And of course, abilities, because it's important. So that was one of the first things that's like right off the bat, this has to happen because this is a pet peeve of mine when it comes to Isaac. It feels wrong. When we only had 109 items or whatever, it was whatever. You could figure that out. But now it's getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, you're nearing 1,000, right? I don't know.
600. I think it's close to 700, 600 something, 700.
Yeah, that's a lot.
700, I think. I don't know. Somebody in the chat's gonna know more than me.
Yeah. Nick Sanity said you wanted to do an item rework of the top 10 worst items in Isaac. How's the development going for them, and is there already an insight you can give on one of the item reworks?
No.
There you go,
no.
Nick.
I have everything. So back when I asked that question and we crunched the numbers, I took the top 10 and I reworked them. It wasn't even items. There were some other aspects as well that it was basically like suggestions that people were like, why isn't this better? And it doesn't make sense why it's how it is. So there is a series of buffs that items and other things have gotten or will get, hopefully by the update for the anniversary. Sorry, I'm burping and now I'm hiccuping. The goal is to have the online multiplayer released alongside the little balance fix or update by the anniversary of Rebirth. I think it's the 10-year anniversary of Rebirth, which is in November.
Time flies, I swear.
Yeah, I know.
Tom Faulty, he's a friend of mine. He's also heavily involved with G Fuel too. He said Bumbo is actually what really brought Ronnie and I together. So thank you for that.
The more I hear about that stuff, the more I feel like maybe I should get a little bit more.
Just don't forget about Bumbo. Just don't forget about it. Like you said, you're gonna give it time. Like we'd like to see some stuff, but who knows?
Okay, and I gotta actually leave sooner. I gotta leave sooner than later. I'm getting a message, but I'll do. I can do one more question if that's cool.
Yeah, let me find one more here. We already talked about the flavor idea. No Meat Boy stuff. Sorry, guys.
I mean, I can answer Meat Boy questions. I will answer a Meat Boy question, but
okay.
I just
well, this
I
one's been
can't.
asked a few times.
Okay, go ahead.
It's just, what's your opinion on the new Meat Boy games made by Team Meat?
I can say that I have no opinion on it because I've never played it. I have seen cutscenes, and the cutscenes do look very good. I definitely think that the animators did a great job, for sure. Okay. But I don't think it's a game I'll ever play, so I can't really ever have an opinion on it.
Okay, I'll ask you one more question, and then we'll let you get out of here. And thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
How important will the end is nigh be to Mutagenics?
I mean, I think we're going to connect a few dots.
Okay.
When Mutagenics comes out and you finish it, okay. I think maybe a few dots will be connected. So, you know.
Okay.
I mean, well, I think Timefuck, Isaac, and the End is Nigh are incorporated into this world, and not only will we get nods and references, but also make the timeline make a bit more sense and kind of pull a few things together for sure.
Okay. We got a lot of thank yous. Thank you so much. We love you. All kinds of stuff. Edmund, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this with us. Really appreciate it. It was an honor to be able to co-host alongside you. And we won't keep you any longer.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you very much. And everybody else, have a good rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys later. All right, take care.